in this lesson, we'll begin to set up reference images in our Maya scene. So let's start with just a blank scene, and let's begin to set up some images. So I'm just going to hit the space bar, and we're going to go into our front and side views and add some images into our scene. So in the front view, let's go to View, Image Plane, and let's import image. That's going to default into the source images directory of your Maya project, which hopefully you've got set to your project files, or you can move those images into your own project that you've created. And those can be found here, the mech front, side arm, and side no arm. So in the front, we'll grab the front image. We'll go ahead and open that up. And then we will come to the side view and do the same thing. So import image. And let's bring in the one with no arm first. So go ahead and bring that in. Now you can see both of these images are lined up, and you can actually see them also in our perspective view. And so let's increase our width and height, and I'm going to set this to about 500, which is pretty big, but we want our mech to be about 15 feet tall, so there's some space on either side of that, so we'll set it to about 500. See how that works. Now I also want it to be off of the grid, and so I'm going to select the front one and just move it back in the perspective away from the center. And I'll do the same thing with the side view, move it back from the side. Okay. Now looking at this, I want it to be up on the grid, so I'm going to offset it. And let's take the image center, and we'll just dial this up until he's standing on the grid. So maybe about 160. And then we'll do the same thing here. So select the other one, dial that up. So now the feet are standing on the grid. Now the grid is really, really small. Let's grab this camera icon, and we'll move that back a little bit, just because we're kind of moving things around, just because this guy's going to be really, really big. Move this back. Let's go into our display grid options. Right now the length and width is set to 12 units. Let's set that to maybe 1,000 units and apply that. Okay. Let's take our subdivisions down and apply that. That'll give us something a little bit better to work with when we start creating this. Now if we create a cube, and let's set this to a height of 450, which is about how tall we want our mech. So it's a little bit small, and so let's size these up a little bit more. So let's try maybe 600. And then I'll move that center up a bit. Let's do maybe 750, and that should be good. Yeah, that should be fine. It doesn't have to be exact. I just wanted to get it kind of close. 230, maybe 235 for the image center. So that's 750 and 235, so we'll set this one as well. Size that up to 750 in both, and then set that to 235. And then again, we can kind of space it out by moving it back. Moving it back this way. We can also come in here and begin to select these. We can go into our attribute editor, and you can see that there are options for these views. So right now it's displaying in all views. If we just wanted to look through the camera, we could turn the display to looking through the side camera. That way they wouldn't show up in our perspective. So if we say looking through side, we can also start to modify things like the color gain or the color offset to change how this actually displays. Okay, and you can get a lot of these settings over here as far as the placement goes in our image plane shape here in our attribute editor as well. Okay, and so we can kind of modify that however we want. Let's get rid of that initial cube, and I'll select this one, go into our attributes and let's turn that to looking through the front camera only. So that way we can kind of see it. It's behind our grid, which helps us when we're modeling. So now when we build our models, we'll have something to build them to. We can reference the front view, and we can also come in and reference the side view when we're creating our rough shapes. That way, when we're both building the same object, they'll be in roughly the same position with roughly the same shape, and we won't have to worry too much about, you know, trying to match up what I'm doing. We're both working from the same image, and so, you know, you just kind of concentrate on getting something that matches up with this shape. All right, so it should make our lives a little bit easier as we try to match up the model that we're going to be creating. So the next thing that we want to do, once we've got our image planes set up and the scale set, the next thing is to create kind of a blank for the body that we can kind of create some new topology on top of. So let's create that in the next lesson.